This segment of the Alice Stewart Show is brought to you by Aero Plumbing. For all your household or business plumbing needs, call Aero Plumbing at 1-866-PLUMBER or schedule an appointment online at aeroplumbing.net.
Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show. It is 7:35, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. Some new information is out, not surprisingly, just after the midterm elections. All kind of new details are surfacing after the election with regard to Obamacare. Of course, we'll soon get the new Obamacare rates. Now, some video has come to light from one of the Obamacare architects, Johnathan Gruber. He's an MIT professor who helped the president and the administration craft the Affordable Care Act, and it's not very flattering of the American people. Here to talk about this and all things politics, Laurie Lee, Republican consultant and strategist. Laurie, great to have you here.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me, Alice.
And we've been talking about the Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act for quite some time, and you've seen this video and heard this video of MIT professor Johnathan Gruber talking about Obamacare and subsidies, and we're going to play the clip. And Laurie, I want to get your comments on this, and keep in mind this is a family show. But this is Gruber talking about how they got, and keep in mind this is the most transparent administration in all of history, and they're architect of the signature achievement of the most transparent administration in history. Here is Johnathan Gruber.
This bill was written in a tortured way to make sure CBO did not score the mandate as taxes. If CBO scored the mandate as taxes, the bill dies. Okay, so it's written to do that. In terms of risk-rated subsidies, if you had a law which said healthy people are going to pay in, it made explicit that healthy people pay in and sick people get money, it would not have passed. Okay, just like lack of transparency is a huge political advantage, and basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass.
So, Laurie, this transparent administration acknowledges that they're one that worked on this, says lack of transparency is a huge political advantage, and this passes because of the stupidity of the American people. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's no secret that this is the least transparent administration that has probably ever served at the bequest of the American people. And he's right on. If the American people would have known, matter of fact, we did know, and we didn't want it. That's why they had to pass it the way they did, thanks to Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and all those guys who are no longer in charge, I might say, was because the American people wouldn't have bought off on it. And the guy's exactly right. To tell a bunch of healthy people that earn wages that you're going to pay for a bunch of sick people who don't earn wages would have never flown. And that doesn't mean that the American people aren't people who are compassionate and want to help those. It just means that you can't force people to do stuff like that. And as far as this guy calling the American people stupid or the stupidity of the American people, I think it's in bad taste. But again, I would have to care what Gruber thinks of me for that to be offensive, and I just don't. So,
well, I tell you what, there are some Republicans in Washington that are quite frustrated with this, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot that can be done about it other than go back and try and repeal or replace Obamacare. One of them, Trey Gowdy from South Carolina, he was on Fox News last night, and here are his comments on this. Gruber's really insulting comments and acknowledging that they were not exactly above board in the way they got Obamacare passed. Here is Trey Gowdy.
I can't get past the irony to even get to the arrogance. The most transparent administration since the continent shifted had to rely on artifice and deception to pass its signature piece of legislation. But you can't make that up. He had to lie to people, and then he justified it.
Laurie, your thoughts?
He's continually lied to people. I mean, this administration has continued. I mean, go down the list of acronyms. The CIA, the NSA, the IRS. Of things that this administration has done. And here's the telltale. Look what just happened a week ago yesterday in America. I mean, resounding wins by GOP. And let me be clear. I hope that the Republicans got a clear message from the people of America is we're not going to tolerate this constant, diversion, deception kind of politics. We're looking for people who have real answers to the real challenges that are facing America and facing Arkansas. And I hope and pray that our guys come and answer the call with transparency, with accountability, and say, you know what, there are things that we can do in government to make sure that the American people are protecting the people of Arkansas, and to repeal these heinous laws like Obamacare and some of the stuff that's going on with amnesty and take care of some of that stuff. So this is a really good chance for the Republicans to prove to the American people that politicians and politics is not the seedy cesspool that the Obama administration has made it.
Right, and that are reflected in these comments by Gruber. And following up on Gruber's comments, who says that basically lack of transparency in Obamacare was a huge political advantage to Democrats who got it passed in the cover of darkness. He issued a half-hearted quasi-apology to none other than the top journalist Ronan Farrow over at MSNBC. Gruber's comment was, quote, "The comments in the video were made at an academic conference. I was speaking off the cuff, and I basically spoke inappropriately, and I regret having made those comments."
In other words, I regret that somebody got that on film and now it's on YouTube, but I really meant it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but here's the thing with this guy. Just who cares? It's over. It's done. Now we have the power to make sure that people like this are not in positions to lie and to distort truths and to hide things. And again, this is laid at the feet of the Republican leadership now to say, you know what, we're going to do things differently.
Right.
We're going to give the American people a seat at the table and make sure things are done that are in the best interest of Americans.
And that's key. And that is the task ahead, and the commitment that needs to be made is that they ran on making sure that things are transparent for the American people and that they are accountable. And let me ask you this, in light of this, of course, it's not a surprise that it came out after the election. And as you say, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but what will this do, and seeing this do you feel, to Republicans who have been elected in Washington, in the House and Senate, in terms of adding a little more incentive to repeal and replace or significantly change Obamacare?
Absolutely. I think that this is just one more nail in the coffin of the president's signature legislation that says, you know what, this is exactly what we thought it was a couple of years ago when we were all Christmas Eve waiting for Nancy Pelosi to tell us, what was in it before we passed it, or we've got to pass it before we know what's in it deal. And I think it does. I think it encourages them. I think it emboldens them to say, you know what, this is exactly, we were right all along. This is a horrific piece of legislation. But there's nobody, Alice, on the planet that doesn't think that the American healthcare system needs some revamping and needs some streamlining and needs some things in it to make sure that people are covered. But let's be clear, there's not anybody in America that is denied services. That's what we have emergency rooms for. That's not the best way to do it. But all of the fear tactics and all the stuff they put in to get this stuff passed was just what this is. It was a blatant lie, and we need to have people that come to the table that say we're going to deal with the real challenges and not just trying to promote an agenda that helps entitlements and helps our voter base.
All right, and certainly sheds new light on what happened in the cover of darkness with Obamacare. Laurie Lee, we'll take a quick break and want to come back and talk to you as a veteran. I want to ask you about this new interview that came out with the man who took down Osama bin Laden. I'd love to hear your take on this. Laurie Lee, Republican consultant and strategy, joins us right after this break here on the Alice Stewart Show. This segment of the program brought to you by Aero Plumbing. For all of your household or business plumbing needs, call Aero Plumbing, 501-588-3200, or go online at aeroplumbing.net.